Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself real quick. My name is Peter Lewis. I work for South by Southwest as the Global Head of Sales and Exhibitions. My role is kind of split between two ways. On one hand, I am in charge of international development for the company. And then on the other, I oversee the operations for the logistical and production elements for all activations at South by Southwest. And I'm going to get into the history and evolution of the company in just a moment. But before I do so, I just want to express my gratitude for being invited here. It's been a wonderful, short 2 days, but it's been a great experience to meet some of you people, and I just want to express my admiration at the production elements and the execution of this event. It's been great hearing all the speakers and the content, so thank you again, and let's get going. So in my presentation, I'm going to address what South by Southwest is. For those that don't know, SXSW in English is abbreviated South by Southwest. I'm going to talk a little bit about how South by Southwest started, how has it evolved in the intervening years, and where we are now as an event and a company. So what is South by Southwest? I think a founding quote from Roland Swenson, the gentleman that started South by Southwest, sums it up. It's a tool for creative people to develop their careers by bringing together people from around the globe to meet, learn, and share ideas, and maybe have a few once-in-a-lifetime experiences. So I'm going to show you just a slice of South by Southwest. I pulled a video from day 4 this past March of our event. It's a 10-day event, and I think it should give you a bit of an understanding of what the event is like each year.
Technology is disrupting and shifting the way we do everything. How we deal with this transformation will be a defining challenge of the 21st century.
There are obviously amazing women's groups that exist in basically every city where everyone does something totally different, from STEM to law to, the cooking world to music.
It's empowering to be able to work with other women and come together at the same table and have a similar conversation.
This is my first time at South by, so I'm really, really excited. These big franchise movies, we wanted to kind of lift the curtain on what it actually feels like to be working on them, and to actually show the people who are invested in it and who are making it creatively, or showing up every day and doing their work on set. That's the kind of stuff we wanted to give people a glimpse of.
So that's just a glimpse of South by Southwest. That was day 4. I wanted to show a single day just to kind of help give a scope of everything that happens from day 1 through day 10 each year. The event was founded in 1987 as a small music festival, but it's become a premier destination of discovery across all creative industries. This past year, we had 2,147 speaking sessions, 455 film screenings, 727 networking or hospitality events. Oh, that skipped the last one. And then 2,000 showcasing artists. So how exactly did we get from this giant, or how did we become this giant event? Well, it started, like I said, in 1987. This is our first keynote, and one of the showcasing artists, Doug Somm, who's a legend of Texas music. So how did we get from here to here? Well, hopefully I will address that. We were honored to have President Barack Obama visit us in 2016. But in 1987, how did it start? Well, first and foremost, our founder, Roland Swenson, he needed a job. He was working in the music industry and was short on some cash, needed to find something to do. He decided he was going to create South by Southwest. He experienced an event in New York that he thought he could replicate in Austin. It was called the New Music Seminar, and the concept was bringing together music industry folks during the day with panels and networking content and having showcase events for bands in the evening. So his co-founders thought Austin was talent-rich, but not exactly on the map, as it were, within the music industry, and they felt that if they created an event that could get their attention, it would bring the industry to Austin. So in order to understand South by Southwest, though, you need to understand Austin. Austin is a very strange city. Our motto is "Keep Austin Weird," which is, very much what Austin is. It's very weird. It has been a popular music city, though, for decades, and it brought together a confluence of styles from country music and blues to early psychedelic rock and roll. And it really created a unique blend and atmosphere in the city. And I think that this quote from Yahoo really kind of sums up the symbiotic nature between South by Southwest and Austin. It says South by Southwest captures the quirky character of its host city by integrating creative talent, early adopters, and emerging media. So this is Janis Joplin and Willie Nelson, two of our icons from the state of Texas. And Austin, it's a psychedelic rock band, the 13th Floor Elevators, Stevie Ray Vaughan, seminal blues guitarist in the 70s and 80s, all from Austin. So in the 70s, this music culture was really a melting pot. Everybody was welcome, hippies, country music artists, anybody. And there was the founding of Armadillo World Headquarters. It was a very important venue for Austin. It saw an array of artists coming through there. The Clash, Toots and the Maytals, Frank Zappa, Ray Charles, Bruce Springsteen, AC/DC, Van Morrison. And then on top of that, we were blessed with Austin City Limits, which became a very popular live television show on our public broadcasting network. So there's really, what I want to illustrate with this slide is that there's a long, long history of music in Austin that has benefited South by Southwest once 1987 rolled around. So why do we choose March? Every year South by Southwest is in March. There's a couple of key reasons. One, there are empty bars. So all the students, there's a big university, University of Texas, that's in Austin. There's about 50,000 students. Every year they go on spring break and the town empties. So our founder, Roland, thought, I bet I can get these bars for free since they're not going to have any business because all the students are gone. He was correct. So they could secure the space at no cost. And then why the name South by Southwest? The owners wanted something that was that allowed for evolution. I mean, because as you've seen over the intervening 30 years, we've went from a music festival to encompassing film, tech, food, sports, you name it. So South by Southwest was not restrictive in any way. And it's also an homage to the classic film North by Northwest, because two of the other co-founders were huge, and still are, huge film nerds. And it's also a directional statement. They felt that the traditional power structure for the music industry was in New York City and LA, of course, and so they thought it was a cute, cheeky directional statement against New York by pointing the direction down to Austin, Texas each year. So this was our very first brochure. It's not great quality, but in 1987, our goal was to attract 150 people. We quickly surpassed that goal, though. The reality was that there were 700 attendees. We had 177 artists and bands playing on 15 stages, and there was about 15 panels and workshops happening during that year. So the early years have shown a lot of growth. The focus from day one was on industry networking during the daytime, creating content that's going to be useful and worthwhile to people's career. And then in the evening, it was really a focus on the bands and checking out the latest and greatest that were from around the state. The growth, though, and I think this is really a key component, is that South by Southwest has never spent money on marketing itself. We've relied as an event on word of mouth. marketing, which is sort of atypical, not only with festivals, but with products in general. I think it was Jeff Bezos that said that the old model was, 20% of your budget was set on creating a product and 80% on marketing, and he wanted to flip that from 80% on the product and 20% on marketing. And I think South by Southwest typifies that. We're really concerned about the product of the event and not so much on trying to promote ourselves as a brand or an organization, and I think that is captured in the spirit every year. The bands, the stages, the sessions, it quickly doubles in the early years, and it very early on garnered a reputation for launching musical careers. Here's a few of the early bands. Some of them are probably not as well known today as they were back then. This is one of my favorite t-shirts of all time, South by Southwest Sucks. We actually incorporated that as our sort of official t-shirt within the office. This is Manu Chao and his early band. And this is Governor Ann Richards from the state of Texas with the board of directors of South by Southwest. And I think this quote from the New York Times really typifies what we try to do as an event. We try to get business and pleasure to huddle together just a little bit. So in 1994, I consider kind of the big year of change for South by Southwest. We added, for the first time, a film festival component. If I can get the clicker to, there we go. Johnny Cash was our keynote, which was a really big deal for us as an event. And then, like I said, the film festival and then our interactive technology festival was created this year as well. The first iteration, though, we called it the Film and Media Conference. So it had 8 panels, 36 speakers, and then just 2 film premieres. That quickly changed. You can see Johnny Cash here. Beck, right around the time that he first debuted as an artist, was at South by Southwest, and then the filmmaker Richard Linklater has long been a supporter of the event. We really kind of gathered steam as a cross-section of the creative industries from 1994 onward, bringing together the tech and film components. And that early focus on the technical side of the industry really helped us in the coming years, because as you all know, into the 2000s with the startup culture and iPhone and everything else, we had been focusing on technology for a decade at that point, and we're really able to sort of ride the wave, as it were. So I'm just going to go through quickly a couple of historical snapshots of the company. The very first one was we got a website in 1996, which was a big deal. In 1998, our film submissions had jumped by 60%, and we quickly had become a very leading event within the film industry. Mark Cuban keynoted South by Southwest Interactive in 1999. This was just before the famous .com bust, about a year and a half later. We had 1,000 showcasing artists for the very first time in 2001. The most notable from that year were the White Stripes, kind of shot them onto their trajectory as global superstars. Then Google's Larry Page and Napster's Sean Parker both came on board as a panelist. I have to apologize, it looks like there's some typographical mistakes here. 2004, Guillermo del Toro screened Hellboy. And I pulled that out because as a film festival, we're very famous as sort of a niche film festival, showcasing non-traditional movie genres that a lot of the larger, more traditional film crowds or film festivals avoid. Mumblecore is a great example. In 2005, we had several Mumblecore films, and then Malcolm Gladwell appeared as a keynote just after his first book. Let's see here. Okay, then 2007, Amy Winehouse was introduced to the world. She had just started her career in England, came to South by Southwest, and was hands down the blowout star. And coincidentally, Twitter was also launched that year at South by Southwest, which was sort of the first early tech industry success at our event and really helped push us forward. Knocked Up, the movie was premiered in 2007, and then we launched Panel Picker, 2007 was a very busy year, if you can't tell. But Panel Picker is, to explain briefly, South by Southwest is a bottom-up event, meaning that we take submissions for content from all over the globe. Anybody can submit an idea for a panel, a band, film, whatever it may be, and the Panel Picker component is specifically our panel session component of that. So in 2008, Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook was our keynote, a very somewhat infamous interview with Recode. Jeff Bezos of Amazon was wandering the halls without an entourage, and Airbnb launched with just 2 customers that year at South by, and one of them was their CEO, Brian Chesky, which I find quite humorous. 2009 saw the launch of Uber at South by Southwest. And then the Hurt Locker screened as well, and later won the Best Picture Oscar. And in 2009, we launched our pitch event. It's now known as South by Southwest Pitch. At the time, though, it's Southwest Accelerator. In 2010, we had Daniel Ek of Spotify keynote. Siri was a contestant in our pitch event, South by Southwest Accelerator, and about 2 months later was bought by a little company called Apple. And then 2011 was our 25th anniversary. It featured over 2,000 showcasing artists for the first time, which still to this day we're just north of 2,000 across 99 stages roughly. We also launched South by Southwest EDU, which is a separate education-focused event that tries to envision a universal platform for what a 21st century education is going to look like. And then, of course, Brian Chesky of Airbnb came back, but he was a speaker at that point and already had millions of customers, I think. 2012 saw Mr. Bruce Springsteen keynote. Al Gore appeared on stage with Sean Parker of Napster. Kevin System of Instagram also spoke, and his company was purchased by Facebook about 2 months later for $2 billion. And we also created the concept of convergence programming, bringing together the film, tech, and music industries and allowing people to experience content from each of them, no matter which registration they had. 2014, we created episodics as a category, so we were the first major film festival to start debuting television programming into its schedule. Girls was, I believe, the first one of HBO. And then 2016, we saw President Barack Obama keynote, as well as First Lady Michelle Obama appeared at the music festival portion with Missy Elliott and Queen Latifah, amongst a few others. It's a big year for us. 2017, our convergence mission was completed, and we became a unified conference programming, meaning that whether you have a music badge, a film badge, or interactive badge, you can get into programming for each of those concepts. So what does South by Southwest look like today? Funding, we've had $5.16 billion US committed to startups that have participated in our pitch competition. That was actually through this past June. I think that number is actually up to $5.4 billion now. Cultural discovery, it's still, our music festivals launched countless careers. Film festivals on the front edge of television. And on the business side of things, 64% of our delegates are attending South by Southwest to find new business opportunities. Another 78% of attendees have high-level organizational decision-making power. Both of these statistics I find enormously important because on two fronts. One, the popular conception of South by Southwest is that there's a lot of bands or a lot of films there, and it's really about the pop stars and this, that, and the other. But at its heart, South by Southwest is a business event. We're there to try to connect people across industries and help them achieve their personal or business goals. And to have that amount of people attending for new business opportunities, and to have that amount of people who have the ability to turn the conversations at South by Southwest into real tangible results is very important for us. Another key cornerstone of our event is our international attendance. 1 in 4 of our attendees this past March were from outside the United States, which is a very big deal, a very prideful point for me since my focus really is on bringing an international audience to Austin. In 2018, we had 455 film screenings, including 145 world premieres at our film festival. As I mentioned earlier, 2,057 artists from 66 countries performed at the music festival component, and then we had another 727 official parties and special networking events at South by Southwest. Just a few more statistics for you. We had 75,098 registered delegates from 102 countries this past year. Had 4,967 conference speakers, and that was across 2,147 sessions. And we had 4,035 members of the press in attendance, and their coverage created $431 million in media value, which is another really important component, for the companies and the artists that are attending each year, is the exposure they're getting across the globe. And then as a company, an event, we had $350 million in economic impact on the city of Austin. That was up slightly from the year before, but we've been north of $300 million in economic impact for the last 5 or so years for sure. And we're still keeping Austin as weird as we can. So the ripple effects of South by Southwest, I feel, have been felt throughout Austin. There's a lot of symbiosis between the city and the event. But in 1987, we had about 460,000 people in Austin, and it was the 30th largest city in the USA. Today, Austin is the 11th largest, which has about 1 million citizens within the city area. And within 2.5 to 3 hours driving, we have 3 of the largest cities in the U.S. Houston, Dallas, and San Antonio, Texas, are all within the top 10 largest cities of the U.S., which makes Texas by far our largest attendee market. Austin is home to 200 music venues, lots of festivals across the city. The city's even now set up a cultural heritage district to try to maintain some of the older clubs that have been around a long time, because with this growth has come increased cost of living, higher taxes, and it makes it harder and harder for the cultural institutions that helped create a bedrock for South by Southwest and other creators throughout the city. It makes it harder for them to maintain a life and a livelihood within the city the larger it gets and the more expensive it gets. And there are also now more startups per capita in Austin than anywhere else in the USA, which I think is another very interesting fact, and kind of shows the cross-section of music and tech that's happening in Austin, Texas. Austin Studios was founded in 2000. It has 21 acres of film studios, production facilities, and office space. The most famous is Troublemaker Studios within the complex. It's Robert Rodriguez's studio. So, South by Southwest is not the sole cause of any of this thing, but we very humbly think that we did and have played a part in the growth and shape of Austin as a city, because we bring thousands of individuals to Austin each March to learn, to discover, to network, explore, and meet each other. And it's, a very important component to us, and it's also why I'm here, because I want to invite each and every one of you to, if you have the chance, to come experience the city for yourself next March and further add to the unique flavor. We as an event, as in a city, survive when we're bringing a global set of voices to the table and a diverse set of voices to the table. And the more participation and activity we have from around the globe, whether it's here in Taiwan or South Africa or Sweden or wherever the case may be, our success as an event hinges on that international participation. And I would really love to see you in March, and thank you for your time.